Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is a confession. I have, let's say, finished my 30 book Read What You Own challenge. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. And in the interest of reading those way too many books this year, one of my sort of New Year's resolutions goals was not to buy any more books until I had read 30 books that I already owned. And that went really well in January. I read 10 books. I didn't buy new books. And it went okay in February. I read 7 more books. I'd been hoping to read 10, but library books got in the way because of the Booktube prize. And going into March, I was really hoping to finish up the challenge this month, even though I'd left myself with quite a bit to do. Today, as I've already mentioned, as you will have seen in the title, I have a big confession. I have decided not to carry on with the 30 book Read What You Own challenge, and I thought today I would come clean with you on why that is, what I did achieve, which is I did read all of the books in this pile of books here, which I will try and hold up for you later. I did read 25 books that I already own. So now that I have actually got this pile next to me, I don't feel shame about not completing the challenge I set for myself. And one of the main reasons I didn't complete the challenge is because I just felt like I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't feel like it was fun anymore. And you might say to yourself, a book ban is not fun anyway, but when I set myself challenges, I really do like to complete them. I'm very competitive, even with myself. And so I was really striving for that goal of 30 books. I thought I would reflect a bit today on why I didn't quite make it, what I did achieve, just reflect on the challenge a bit. Would I do it again, and what will I be doing going forward? So the first thing to mention is I did reach 25 books read from my giant TBR that I already owned, and I think that's a big achievement. That gets a huge chunk of books off my TBR without me having bought many more books. So why at 25 have I called it quits? Well, first of all, I went on a short break this week, and some upcoming videos will show you some places I visited on this trip. I did buy books, so I went on the trip knowing that there was a chance that I might buy books. My husband had agreed to treat me to a couple of books. My mum had given me some money to buy books because she wanted to treat me, and so I hoped to sort of, as I always have, wangle my way around this ban by getting other people to buy me books, which is not really in the interest of the challenge, obviously. But once I was on this trip and I was in bookshops, it just really got me to thinking that so much of this hobby for me, so much about reading, such a lot of the fun is in browsing bookshops, finding books that I want to buy, deciding which books to buy, buying the books, collecting the books. It's all part and parcel of this hobby for me. And I didn't feel like I could fully enjoy it without feeling guilty. And I thought, well, that's silly, because it was you that set the challenge. And I am a firm believer in, if we set challenges and we do our absolute best to get to them, but we come to the conclusion of our own accord that we no longer want to do the challenge, I think it's fine to say, I quit. And I have. So books had been bought, not by me, but they had been bought, and I decided to buy another book, and I don't regret that at all. And I don't want to have in place challenges that make me regret book buying, because I love book buying and I love going to bookshops. I love visiting all these different places and all their different bookshops. So that was the number one reason why I quit the challenge. The other reason was I knew for a fact the reason why March had been a big goal for me was because from probably sometime in February I knew that there was a book coming out at the end of March, which I will tell you more about next week, that I was really, really excited about and that I would definitely be breaking the ban to get. And yeah, so I knew that was coming, and that was also a factor in deciding that it was time to stop the 30 book challenge. So I did initially think to myself, even though books had been purchased for me, I did think, I've got to really carry on, I've got to read 5 books in a week. But is it fun to try and make yourself read 5 books in a week? I thought to myself, am I really going to enjoy the 5 books that I try to pack in? Another factor in giving up on this challenge is that it's prize season on Booktube. So first of all, the Booktube prize definitely impacted being able to read from my own shelves. I got all 6 books from the library, so I didn't break the book buying ban, but that is still books that I'm reading from somewhere else, which takes away time reading my own bookshelves. And as you know, I am also hosting the Women's Prize for Fiction Plod Along with the lovely Charlie Brooke and the lovely Gemma Books. And I haven't bought any books for that, and I don't actually intend to. What I'm intending to do is to try and read this whole prize long list from the library, which is fine, but that means I've got a lot of library books on the go, and because these are books that are in high demand, they need to be read quickly and taken back to the library as they can't be renewed. So another final factor and the final nail in the coffin for this challenge, when I was thinking about trying to read 5 books in the final week of March, which I do think is doable in some cases, one big major deciding factor was that I have Demon Copperhead from the library at the moment. It's due back on the 1st of April, it can't be renewed, and it is a tome. I'm really, really loving it, but it's massive. I also have 2 other library books for the Women's Prize that are due back in early April, and I just don't think I will be able to finish those 3 plus read 5 books from the giant bookshelf. So for my happiness and my sanity, and in the interest of doing what I want to do with my hobby, I've decided to stop doing the 30 book challenge. I know, I still have a giant TBR. The giant TBR has definitely been added to this month, quite significantly for me. Books have been bought. Books will definitely be read. Books have been acquired from the library. It's getting quite a lot. So those are the factors behind me stopping at 25. I'm pleased with what I've achieved. I've read these 25 books. I only have, I think, 1 of the 25 books missing from this stack, which I've lent to my mum. I'm pleased with what I did. So let me see if we can lift this stack without it dying. I don't think we can. The problem is the final book that I read was actually, for this challenge, was actually aptly named Last Act by Christopher Pike, and it is absolutely tiny, and perched on top of that is a hardback, and perched on top of that is this gigantic book stack. So yes, these are the books that I read, with the exception of The Anomaly by Hervé Letellier, which is currently at my mum's house. And yeah, so I actually DNF'd Eden Close. That was back in January. I read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, which had been on my TBR for ages. I think this is going to go. I read The Outsider, also on my TBR for ages. The Rapture, that had been hanging around for years. Let's readjust. I read Blue Moon by Lee Child, one of my Jack Reacher books. I read Villager by Tom Cox, which I was super excited about. I read Immune, which I read for the Immune read along, so thank you to Tandem Collective for that one. All of these so far were acquired before the year started. Shift, which had been on my shelf for ages. Solitaire, which I got for Christmas. Floating Admiral. Oh, the pile is getting very unsteady. Last Human. Pyongyang, which I got for Christmas. Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. When Ghosts Come Home, which is actually the first book on this list that I did get this year. This came from my book subscription. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. The Three Musketeers. Into the Dark, which was also from my book subscription. Hold up the final few. We have Mort by Terry Pratchett. We have the Teddy Robinson storybook by Joan G. Robinson. The Red House Mystery by A.A. Milne. The Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. And finally, the book that huge stack was... this was the base of that huge stack, Last Act by Christopher Pike, which I did also acquire this year. So I'm really pleased with myself that out of the 25 books, only 3 of them were actually acquired this year, because the aim was obviously to read what I own, and I have done that for 25 books. So yay, but I didn't get to 30 books, and I'm okay with that. So what am I going to do about the giant TBR going forward? Because I have bought books in March. I'm not sure yet how they're going to balance out, whether the TBR is going to stay the same or go up. Not sure yet. I need something in place to keep book buying under control, to keep the giant TBR moving steadily downwards, and that was the idea of this, was to try and make a huge chunk in that giant TBR. Going forward, I want to try really hard to keep my buying under control by letting myself have books, because I think a ban is too restrictive, but what I would like to do going forward is that for every 3 books that I read, I can buy a book. I think that's fine. Or in other words, I can buy books, but I need to read 3 books for every book that is coming in. I think that's probably doable and fair. I won't have a more complicated system than that in place at the moment. There may be further book buying bans down the line, but I think it's better to keep it so that I can obtain books. I do have new books to show you. The next video up will probably be the book haul. I do have my new subscription book, but I'm not going to do that as a separate unboxing this month. I'm going to put it in with my book haul, as has been a big one. Do let me know in the comments, are you also participating in a read what you own challenge? Are you book banned? Have you given up the book ban? I lasted nearly 3 months, so I am pleased with myself, but at the same time, I did quit. The challenge is over. Let me know what you think about book challenges. Do you participate in them? Do you set yourself these challenges? And how do you feel about not achieving them? Let me know all things bookish in the comments. I do hope you've enjoyed this video today. If you have, please do give it a like. Please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. I will be back very soon with a book haul and also a bookshop video about where I've been on my little break. I will hope to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.